Hello everybody and welcome to the video. Today we're going to be going over week 11 of the 10th anniversary Holo Heroes event, where every single week we're getting another Holo Heroes from the last 10 years of Summoners War's existence. And if you're having a little bit of trouble picking a unit, I'm here to help you make that choice a little bit easier. I'm here to at least assist you, right? But of course, like every other video, we're going to be choosing between the light darks because I feel like you should be aiming for monsters that are more rare. As you can see here, it's like we're on my LD only account, and you can see I've already gotten the Fire Horse and the Water Jack-o'-lantern. The only one we haven't gotten is the Wind Dice Magician, so you can get these units fairly easy. You can get them on Engraved Summons, random mystical scrolls, or whatever. But the light dark units are just a little bit more difficult to obtain. So these are the units that we're really going to be arguing over. So in this video, we're going to find out which one is better to obtain, the Light Kung Fu Girl or the Dark Brownie Magician. Let's get into it. So the first unit is Liu Mei, the Light Kung Fu Girl. She does have an arena crit lead where she increases the critical rate of ally monsters in the arena by 24%. She also has 102 base speed, which is pretty decent. Her skill 1 is called Energy Ball, where it attacks the enemy with a condensed energy and reduces the enemy's defense for 1 turn with a 50% chance. Twisted Kick, aka her skill 2, will be activated in succession with a 30% chance. Fully skilling this up will increase the damage. Skill 1, defense break, whatever. It's okay. Obviously the big thing about the Kung Fu Girls, and they kind of share this thing with like Drunken Masters, is that their whole kit, I mean, it's like these units go crazy when they start comboing, right? Like, so her skill 1 combos into skill 2, as her skill 1 mentions. And again, you'll see this with like the Art Masters, where it's like they go absolutely crazy. They can get out massive amounts of damage, regardless of how you built them, when they start comboing. So that's going to be the biggest deal about them. But we'll look into that in a second. But skill 2 is called Twist Kick. So it attacks the target with a turning kick and decreases its attack bar by 50% with an 80% chance, and decreases its attack speed for 2 turns. If I was about to start speaking about something, but I'm going to finish the skill. If the target's attack bar is depleted by this attack, the target will be stunned for 1 turn. Light Dragon attack will be activated successfully with a 20% chance every 3 turns when fully skilled up, as well as increasing the damage when fully skilled up. And Light Dragon attack is the 3rd skill. So the 2nd skill, obviously it's a pretty good one. I mean, you decrease the attack bar by 50%. For this to... No, actually, you don't really need her to be fast at all. Yeah, you don't need her to be fast, because it's like, if the enemy goes first... Yeah, no, actually, okay, I'll talk about this in a second, but if the enemy goes first, like, if the enemy's faster than you, that's not necessarily a problem. You can build her on, like, some will or whatever, to make sure she's not getting stunned or whatever, but once the enemy, like, moves... If you use a skill 2 on the enemy, since the enemies, they just took their turn, they're going to have less than 50% attack bar, and then you could use this and then stun them for 1 turn, which is okay. And then, since they're starting at 0% attack bar, and then they have the attack speed debuff, it's like it's going to take forever for them to get their turn. So it's not that bad of a skill 2. So attack bar reduction, slows, and potentially a stun dependent. And it has a chance to proc into skill 3. So before we read skill 3, there's one question I'm sure some of you guys have in your mind. Is there the chance for her to use her skill 1, which has a 30% chance to activate this, and then this has a 20% chance to activate skill 3. Is it possible for you to use skill 1 and then activate skill 2, and then it activates skill 3? So potentially using all 3 skills in 1 turn. Yes, it's possible. The chances of it happening are not incredibly high, but it's possible. It might happen more times than you think. But it's there, right? But for a lot of people, when they choose a unit, they don't want to necessarily have to rely on tons of RNG. Like, if a unit is not super great until they have that RNG moment, it's just like, then you're not going to want to bring it. It's like, hey, 90% of the time she sucks, but the 10% of the time when she's activating all 3 skills, she goes crazy. It's like, no one's going to want that. But not saying that this is her, but I know that's one thing to consider, is that if she's not good alone and she needs to just proc everything all the time, then it's not too great. But again, we'll talk about that later. But again, pretty decent skill 2. Skill 3 Attacks the enemy target and randomly attacks 3 more times, remove 1 beneficial effect each. Each attack absorbs the enemy's attack bar by 20% and then counterattacks with a 25% chance when attacked on cooldown. And this is every 4 turns when fully skilled up, plus the damage does increase. So, I like this actually. I would need to test it because I don't even remember if this is true or not. I don't believe it is. But if she uses skill 1 and then procs skill 2, the skill 2 doesn't go on cooldown. I don't believe it does. I don't think so. Yeah, okay, I was about to say. So, overall, her kit's pretty interesting. Obviously, the idea is that you're going to want to use skill 3, get this on cooldown, because when it's on cooldown and she does have that chance to counterattack, she'll be able to counterattack, and if she uses skill 1, because whenever a unit counterattacks or they're provoked or whatever, it's just like they're going to use their skill 1, then she has a chance to start proccing all of these. So that's her big deal, right? Obviously, I think it's like you're going to want to throw her on some vampire, right? You could throw her on violent, but I would throw her on like vampire. I would put her on some damage, but like, I wouldn't be surprised if someone went like, I don't know, either speed crit damage HP or speed crit damage attack with like tons of HP and defense in the subs. I feel like you would want to make her a little tanky, like a bit tanky-ish. If you're like, oh, but you're sacrificing a little bit of damage. But with the amount of counterattacking she's doing, with the amount of damage she'll be doing by proccing all these turns, I'm not worried about the damage. Like, I would probably try to get her to be tanky as heck, right? It's like super tanky with damage, right? It's like, so slot 2 or 6, you can make it whatever you want, whether it be speed or HP or attack percent or whatever. But slot 2 and 6 can be whatever. Slot 4 could be crit damage. Obviously, you're going to use her in arena. You could... I was about to say you could use her in Necro, but you're not going to use her in Necropolis. You're not using her in Punishers because of attack bar reduction. You could use her in... Could you use her in Steel Fortress? Defense break, attack bar reduction, attack speed slow, which is cool, I guess. Stripping, attack bar or absorption. No, she's mainly arena and guild content. She's PvP, right? But could use her in the Dark Beast, I guess, if you're on an LD only account. But gosh, yeah, no, vampire, revenge, just generally tanky. I'm going to hold off on giving her a rating for now. I want to see what people have to say, because I'm not completely sure of how I feel about her. She's not bad. It's just... Let's look. So, first monster info review. Underappreciated Mon for Siege. Pair with Commune, Lead, and Vigor. So just generally the most annoying unit. Vile or Despair, HP attack, stack attack and HP subs with a little accuracy for skill 3. Get some decent speed and she would be a pain to deal with. Check mine for an example. I don't think you have to do all that. I don't think you have to go HP attack. I think the reason you're going attack is to get damage on her, right? But if you were to go speed, crit damage, HP, you could still get damage and still be tanky. You can go speed, crit damage, HP on Vampire Revenge. Vile or Despair. I don't get Vile or Despair. I guess, like, just to take tons of turns. But I'd do Vampire to monetize on her counterattacking, so she's, like, healing a whole bunch. And then Revenge, and I know it's like, oh, but she has a built-in Revenge, but it's like, you get 2 different chances of Revenge, so you're always Revenge proccing. But, that or Vampire Will, if you want to. Or Vampire Focus to help with accuracy. But you don't go HP double attack. I don't see a reason for that. I think you go like speed crit damage attack, or you go HP, or speed crit damage HP, or HP crit damage HP. Like, if you're really worried about her being tanky. But you can get damage out of going crit. And then in the substats, you can go speed, crit rate, crit damage, HP, accuracy, or defense. And then maybe attack percent less. I mean, the amount of counterattack she's doing, the amount of multi-hits she's going to be doing, I feel like she'll get more than enough damage, so you don't have to worry about losing attack percent. I'm droning on and on. I'm yapping. Yeah, at first it, like, looks good because you see all the big numbers, but I don't know. I don't know if I necessarily like this. But dude, it's like I don't have her built. You have her built. If you're saying that she works, then she works, right? Then clearly this is the build. This is me off the top of my head telling you what I think. Violent, yeah, I get for the extra turns. You do want accuracy on her. You didn't give her really too much. Like, attack up, blah blah. Skill 3 crit damage. Attack bar rune revived. Okay. Artifacts or whatever. So, okay, it's just skill 3 strips an attack bar absorption and then counterattack when it's on cooldown. Skill 2, attack bar. I can get it, like you're violent proccing into these two, but it's just attack bar reduction, potential stun, attack speed slow, and then defense break. I think you go vampire, but real review. R5 Guild War Liu Mei. Like to remove trash comments. Let's see what you have to say. This was more than a couple years ago, but let's see. What the okay. R5? Is this really R5? If this is R5, then they're going to have to make a whole new tier for me. I'm talking about R6 for me, because there's no way that this is an R5. There's no okay. Get out of my face. Like if you're gay. Fucking okay. R5. Oh, Rift 5 Guild War. Okay. R5 Frontline Liu Mei. Attack, crit damage, attack. You managed to get some HP. Okay, throw that away. But you managed to get some HP in the substats and even some defense. Yeah, I'd throw that in my R5 team, I guess. Yeah, because you're gonna actually get decreased attack speed, decreased defense, and a bit of damage out of her. Okay. The secret runes of this hero is a 2-piece of Revenge Blade and Nemesis. Revenge. Okay, I could see it. Especially the revenge part. That you don't have a thing. Like if you get very good. We're looking at one more. Speed, crit damage, attack. Oh, okay, you have speed on her. She doesn't have enough crit rate. Brother, one of these runes have got to give. Each and every single rune you have on her, none of it rolled into crit rate. Okay, we're moving on to usage. So, Rift Raid, yeah, I could see Rift Raid. I would throw her on like some tanky damage dealing runes like Vampire Revenge or Vampire Will if you must. I think Vampire Revenge. And then go on like speed, crit damage, HP. Or you can go defense, crit damage, HP, or HP, crit damage, defense to, because I know a lot of you guys, if you have like any type of runes, you're either going attack percent or speed in slot 2. So you have a lot of these HP percents and defense percents sitting around. Heck, you could use one of them, build her like that, and she'd be completely fine. But I could see Rift of Worlds, Siege Battle for sure. Meant to be super annoying. World Guild Battle, Arena, Dark Beast like I mentioned earlier. Maybe the Ice Beast. Light Beast, no. Because the Light Beast I don't think is good because she has too many multi-hits. I mean, or her skill 3 is a multi-hit, her skill 2 really isn't. I don't think it was. And then skill 1 is not. But she procs. She could probably, maybe. And then Trial of Ascension, I guess. Let's look at statistics. Let's see if I'm anywhere near right. Vampire Revenge, there we go. Despair Revenge, I can see Despair, I guess, for the stunning. Violent Revenge, cool. Vampire Blade. But you'll notice typically some type of pattern here where people are trying to monetize on the counterattacking thing she has. Vampire Revenge, that's the best thing for her, in my opinion. Because she's going to counterattack a whole bunch, and you're giving her a higher chance of counterattack with that Revenge set. And then Vampire to heal herself off of that. Despair Revenge, to stun and Revenge at the same time. She's not necessarily healing, but she's probably stunning the enemy. Violent Revenge, more turns, more revenges. Vampire, again, to heal. Revenge, whatever. And Fatal Blade is for beginners. Slot 2, speed. Yep. Crit damage. And then either HP or attack percent. Exactly. It's like I expected. Artifacts, attack or HP or defense. I think when you're giving her artifacts, it doesn't matter what main stat you give her. HP or defense works completely fine. If I had to guess what the substats of these artifacts are, Obviously, any of the skills accuracy. You could also, you could really bring anything, but could damage his enemy's HPs more. I mean, anything could theoretically work. I don't think there's too many of these that you could really mess up on, because if you reduce any of the damage she's getting taken by any of the elements, it works there too. I guess focus on light dark, receiving less damage from light dark units. But counterattack, co-op attack damage is the one that you're probably going to aim for, or any of those skills accuracy checks is probably the biggest ones. Damage proportionate to speed. Attack HP doesn't matter to me. Damage taken from when, down. Yeah, reducing damage taken. You're going to want that for like R5. Reduce the amount of damage taken. Skill 3 accuracy, like I said. Speed. Skill 2 accuracy. Skill 1 accuracy. Additional damage proportionate to defense, because you want to throw some defense in the substats. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of what I'd expect her to look like. I think if you build her correctly, I think she could be a very annoying unit. Build her tanky with some damage on her, in my opinion. And she could be a pretty good guild content unit. I know for me, on my LD account, I finally started getting into tons of guild content and siege and all that stuff. I've been doing it the last few days, every single day on it. And it's just like, I need good units. And I have some good units, but it's like I need units like her who can deal a good amount of damage and be built pretty tanky. I don't know. I think if I had to give her a rating, she's like a 7 out of 10, man. Maybe 6 out of 10. I don't know. Actually, no. Okay, skill 3, strip and attack bar reduction. It's random, but it's fine with me. I don't give a fuck about random. You're only going to be fighting 3 monsters in Siege. I mean, you're going to get out a good amount of damage. Skill 2's attack bar reduction, stun. Skill 1 is the... I'm probably 7.5. I'm going to give her a 7.5 out of 10 for now. She's good, but she's not crazy. But she can work. She's not a bad unit at all. Let's just move on to the Bounty Magician. We might change her score later on. Who knows? But let's move on. Okay, so next is... Can I say that? Can I say this? Is YouTube going to get me for this? Let's just to be safe. It's named after a beer. How about that? Except the first letter is like different. Has a universal crit lead, which increases the critical rate of ally monsters by 19%. So not as good as a crit rate lead as Liu Mei, but has better base speed, 106 base speed. Skill 1 is called Run Run, bounces towards the enemy to attack, and gets another turn with a 20% chance. All of them share this. I mean, it's a good skill 1. I mean, you'd be surprised how often... Well, you wouldn't. I mean, everyone's faced off against Bounty Magicians, whether it's TOA or guild content. Always a good skill 1 to get tons of turns. Dude, even on like the 4-star only account that we're doing, I have obviously Gemini. It's like Gemini, his skill 1 procs more often. Like, it says 20%, but I feel like it's a little bit more. I feel like it's easily at least 40%. It activates a lot. I'll see him at least take 1 or 2 turns. Not 1 or 2 turns, like anywhere from 1 to 3 turns every single turn. But it's like, more often than not, it's always 2 to 3 turns, right? But skill 2, Fever Time, increases the attack power and critical rate of all allies for 2 turns every 3 turns when fully skilled up. You're definitely going to want to get him skilled up, because attack power and crit rate increase every 4 turns. It's not super great. But skill 3, which is going to be the big part about his kit, because his skill 1 and skill 2 are pretty much the same as a lot of these other Bounty Magicians. Skill 3 attacks all enemies to remove the harmful effect and beneficial effect on the enemies with an 80% chance. Oh, this is why you finish reading it. Okay, so let me restart. Attacks all enemies to remove the harmful effect and beneficial effects on the enemies with an 80% chance. Each enemy is put to sleep for the number of turns equal to the number of effects removed every 4 turns. So, like, let's say you get an attack and defense. Like, let's just say for, like, the Giants boss, for example. He's not a good example, but we're just going to say him for example. You defense break him, you brand him, you glance him. I know you can't sleep the Giants boss, but this is pretend. And then he gets an attack buff. If you were to take all those off, it's just like, you would technically sleep him like for 4 turns, which is pretty good, in a way. You know how I feel about sleep units. Sleep units, they're good. Like, don't get me wrong at all. Like, sleep is a really good debuff. But unlike other debuffs, it's like, unless you have a skill that specifically says otherwise, you can wake them back up. So let's say he does the skill 3. Boom. Everyone is asleep. And if your next ally isn't like a succubus or a unit that literally says your attacks do not wake up the enemy will just wake back up. I really don't like sleep units because of that. Because it's like, it's a really good crowd control skill, but it's the weakest of, I believe, most of the crowd control skills. The fact that, oh gosh, it's just, oh man, I'm sorry. Not only that, I think it's like, what's the bad part about this is that you're removing not only the beneficial effects. Cool, remove the beneficial effects. It's a strip. But you're also removing the harmful effects. So if you defense break the enemy, if you slow the enemy, if you glance the enemy, if you brand the enemy, all those are gone too. Right? If I'm reading it correctly, attacks all enemies to remove the harmful effects and beneficial effects on the enemies with an 80% chance. So it's just like, cool. The enemy's asleep for like 6 turns. But like, you've taken away the defense breaks, you've taken away the slows, you've taken away everything. It's like, I guess this is helpful, like if you're facing off against a team that like has like tons of units on violent, which is going to be a lot of the teams. But like, I don't know, in my opinion, it's like, if I'm facing off against a Riley and I'm like, okay, this Riley violent procs like a bitch, right? It's just like, then yeah, cool, I would like to sleep her for like 2 or 3 turns, because then she's not going to violent proc out of that. But the issue is, to use him at his most effective, you're bringing him on like a succubus team or one of those teams. It's just like, I'm really trying to use him. He's not bad. It's just like, I don't like how he's taking away the harmful effects too. Like, you know what would make him powerful? Instead of having him remove the harmful effects, like have him increase the amount of turns the harmful effects are there for. Increase the amount of, the duration of harmful effects. Decrease the duration of beneficial effects. And then puts the enemy to sleep based off of the number of harmful and beneficial effects on the enemy. So let them keep their harmful effects, potentially reduce the turns of beneficial effects, and then put them to sleep if possible. Right? And apply the sleep after the reduction and the increase and all that stuff, in case the enemy has immunity. But it's just like, you lose all your harmful effects. So branding slows. It's just, I don't know. Maybe that's a big nothing burger for a lot of people. But skill 1, violent proc, built-in violent proc, attack and crit rate, and then AoE, essential AoE strip. But you're stripping everything, not just beneficial effects. And then puts the enemy to sleep. Another issue, again, is that I mentioned with him, his skill 1 will wake up the enemy. Any other allies that aren't like the succubuses will wake up the enemy. So it's just, if this would have even at least been a stun, if you would have removed everything and it be a stun, that would even be better. I don't know, maybe. And this is every 4 turns? I'm not doubting its powerfulness. I'm sure there's going to be a situation where this is super, uber powerful. But, dude, it's like when you're comparing like Corona to Liu Mei, and just like what they're going to be able to do, it's just, I don't know. Already he's looking a little bit worse. Not that he's bad, he's just, I can't believe all you crybabies. Like, seriously, we should be happy enough that HOA, okay. Like, if you're, okay, let me find an actual comment. Okay. This is the only comment I could find that says, very good unit for stripping enemy buffs. Baby Tiana. Well, Son Goku. You don't even have him built 1. And again, read his 3rd skill. Attacks all enemies to remove harmful effects. Unless it's talking about, like, if he attacks, he cleanses your team. If so, then I'm completely misreading the situation, right? If he attacks all enemies and he removes the harmful effects off of your team and then strips the beneficial effects off the enemy team and then does a sleep based off of all that, cool, right? It's like if your team has a defense break on them and then he cleanses that for some reason and it's just worded weird, okay, whatever. But like as what I'm reading it, how I'm reading it, it attacks all enemies to remove the harmful effects and beneficial effects on the enemies with an 80% chance. But effectively, it's like, I can't get over the fact that it's like, you're taking away everything, like the defense breaks and all that. So it's like, and it's like, if his skill 1 would not wake up the enemy if the enemy's asleep, that would be better, right? I feel like it'd be slightly better. I don't know, dude. I'm just hating hard. Gosh, coronavirus. Niche needs a boost. Don't pick this. It's contagious. Okay. I just love this monster. It's at first, if you don't succeed, definitely try with this little guy. Booyah. What? Speed. Okay. What? What are you going attack for? Let me stop. Actually, much better than I thought. Is it? Clearly not. I mean, you took the runes off. Actual build, 150 plus speed, really good monster. Come on, Orochimaru. Okay, 150 plus speed. Okay. What am I not getting about him? Why are you guys giving him attack? I'm not burying this guy for his damage. Attack, okay. Let's go to usage. Okay, so he's used in arena. I can see what you're trying to do here. I'm guessing that this is like your speed team. You enter, you use Corona to strip the enemy completely. And then your double Lucian, just go in and cleave. Obviously LD only team. Okay. Just arena, siege battle, guild battle. Those are the only places you're going to use him. You're not using him in spiritual realm. There's actually no way. Okay, so you bring Corona for the attack and crit rate buff, because that's clearly what you're bringing him for. Does this spiritual realm team even work? Like, the first 3 units are amazing. Fron should not be there. She's not going to crit. She's just going to proc the boss. Unless she's on a crit build. And it's like, you bring her for the attack buff, right? Or the healing. Which one? But if you bring her for the attack buff, he already has an attack buff. So you're clearly bringing her for the healing. But why not just bring Irgar? All allies will heal based off of the damage they deal. And he's going to crit. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm just crazy. And then it's like, what are you bringing him for? Just bring Seek, the Fire Hellhound. He's a free-to-play unit, and he's better, because this is every 3 turns when fully skilled up. Seek, I think, is also every 3 turns, but his attack buff and crit rate buff last longer. You don't need to use Corona in Spiritual Realm. Gosh, I'm being so toxic. Stop. Statistics. Did I even mention a build? I guess maybe Violent. No, I mean, yeah, Violent will. Swift will, maybe. Maybe Destroy. I don't know, dude. Despair, I guess. Swift Energy, okay, yeah. So this is how you can tell that he hasn't been used in the longest time, because there's no Violent, no nothing. I mean, and I say this because it's like most units that are used in arena, using guild content, there's going to be some sort of Violent build. Somewhere. Someone is always throwing... So, speed, HP, correct. Fast and tanky and accurate. That's all you want from him. HP in the substats. Reduce damage taken. Crit damage taken. Skill 3 accuracy. Typically. Speed up effect. Additional damage, blah, blah, blah. Crit damage taken. Reduce damage taken, yep. I don't care about the additional damage proportionate to speed or HP. Skill 3 accuracy, correct. Speed up effect, no, none of these really matter other than the skill 3 accuracy. Gosh, I'm hating hard. Let's go back to the monster thing. Okay, so I realized I didn't give Corona a rating. I'm gonna give him a rating right now. Maybe I'm just not picturing anything, but I'm gonna give him like a 4 out of 10. I think he is not too great. again, we can. Let me explain why. Okay, what is it that you need, right? When you're picking these units, what is it that you're bringing them for? Is he a stripper? We literally just got Gemini. We literally just got Gemini out of the Hollow Heroes. I think less than a week or two ago. Who is an AoE stripper, and he strips on every single skill because it's his passive, right? And if you're like, okay, but I want someone to strip into into a crowd control effect, right? I need someone to strip into a crowd control effect. There are a billion other units, especially on main attribute ones, right, that do that job. But if you're like, no, I need an LD that does that, right? Who will strip the enemy and stun the enemy, essentially. It's just like, with Corona's third skill, I think this is not so great of a third skill. Attacks all enemies, first of all, to remove harmful and beneficial effects. Both? It's like, cool, I'm taking off the immunity, I'm taking off your attack buff, I'm taking off your anti-revive fucking buff that the druids or whatever gave you, or the one of the angels gave you. But it's just like, I'm also taking away the defense break that you landed, the branding that you landed, the anti-heal that you landed. Everything is gone. For a sleep. For a sleep debuff. And I'm sorry, 90%, 95% of the units in this game will wake the unit up immediately. So you put the enemy to sleep for 6 turns, it doesn't matter. Any of your other units attack, you get Verd, you get Fraun, you get literally any other unit that attacks, they're going to wake up. 6 turns of sleep doesn't matter. They're going to wake up in the next two attacks. Right? And I'm sorry, maybe I'm just annoyed. Maybe today was a long day. But it's just like, it doesn't seem great, right? He's like, you lose all your harmful effects that you placed on the enemy for sleep. For sleep. Let me look something up. Okay, so these are all the units that sleep, right? I mean, including Corona, right? I mean, we'll go through the first roster, right? So, boom, read through the skill. This doesn't have anything to do with keeping the enemies asleep. If Shihua attacks an enemy in skill 1 that's asleep, they wake up. They could have a sleep for 4, 5, 6. They could have it for 10 turns. They're waking up the instant she attacks. Oh, they were supposed to go 10 whole turns without attacking. Nope, the instant she attacks them in any fashion at all, they're waking up, right? Skill 2 puts the enemy to sleep and instantly gets a turn. This will put the enemy to sleep. The enemy will not wake up. Unless the enemy's already asleep and then she's using this on them again. And then if she doesn't land it and the enemy wakes up, then that's different. Skill 3. Attacks enemy 5 times, blah, 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 blah. Recovers damage or heal, whatever. Nothing about keeping the enemy asleep, right? The Succubus, Akia. This is what you need, right? Attacks without waking up the enemy that's undersleep. That's what you need on these skills, to keep the enemy asleep, right? So if you're bringing Corona, you want to know, on a normal team, you need units like Akia, right? The Succubus. I think the Hypnomeows also wake them up, right? Yeah, no. In fact, they they themselves will go to sleep. Yeah. So it's like you need the Succubuses. You need the Succubus, Zarya. It's like Alucia has a sleep, right? And an irresistible sleep for 2 turns. Skill 1, she's waking them right back up. That's why I say it's like sleep is not the best debuff, because it's like put them. You're removing all the harmful effects. You're removing all the beneficial effects. You're putting them to sleep for 5 turns. Holy crap! Whoa! And it's like, if you don't have like a full Succubus team, or a team that just doesn't wake up the enemy, if you don't have a team that prevents the enemy from waking up again, it's just like the sleep was useless, right? I don't know. I probably just we're in different worlds. I'm PvE, you guys are PvP. I'm just slowly starting to get back into doing guild contents and Siege and all that. So maybe it's more powerful than I can imagine. But it's like, you're only using this guy on sleep teams. And even on sleep teams, it's just like, okay, he puts the enemy to sleep, right? He strips the enemy and puts him to sleep. I swear to God, some of the Succubuses do that. But even then, it's just like, AoE strip, removes all harmful effects and beneficial effects, and then puts them to sleep, equal to the number of effects removed. So, anywhere from 4 to 5 realistically, at most. Man, it's either that or Liu Mei. Where Liu Mei, at the very least, she can do R5. She can do guild content. She could be pretty effective in guild content and siege content. I don't know so much about like RTA. Arena, I could see her in arena. Just a little bit. I could see her definitely in guild content. I could see her in siege a lot. R5 for sure. Dark Beast, probably. Light Beast, I don't know. But it's like her usage is much more available. It's much wider versus Corona, which Corona, it's like, I know what you're bringing him for. You're bringing him on a sleep team because you're not bringing him as your stripper because, again, we literally just got Gemini. Heck, you know how many units remove beneficial effects passively? Hell, I mean, even amongst LD onlys, we got El Sharion, Gemini AoE. Where's the other one? Firo, AoE, or I mean, I guess AoE here, but like passive strip. Lauren has a strip. I mean, so many units. It's just, dude. And again, if you need a strip, Liu Mei does it. I don't know. I think the obvious choice here is Liu Mei. I'm going with Liu Mei. It's nothing against Corona. I'm a big hater of the sleep thing. Unless like you're the succubus. The succubi, whatever, are the best at sleeping in this game. But it's like sleep is like it's my least favorite crowd control skill. Because it's like it's easily removable. You put an enemy to sleep and then boom, you have your I don't know, your Fraun move next, right? You have Fraun on the team for some reason. It's just like Fraun is gonna wake them back up. Fuck it, I think Bastet does it too. Puts enemy to sleep. It's either that or it's the wind one. It's the wind one. It's Hathor. Puts all enemies to sleep, but it's like she wakes them back up as well. It's like sleep is very finicky in this game. It's very finicky, where it's just like sleep can either be the most useful thing in the world or it could be the most useless thing. I'm going to stop wasting y'all's time. In my opinion, aim for Liu Mei. But if someone else tells you go Corona, by all means, if you want to go for Corona, go for Corona. I'm going with Liu Mei. I think Corona, no offense, is the more useless out of the two. I'm sure he has his uses. I'm sure he does. By no means, and even in the teams that I saw on the monster info, the usage, even those teams were like, meh, he could be replaced. Like this, like easy. But I'm sorry if I was being aggressive for this video. It's just, I really have a disdain. Like, if you want to know what my pet peeve in Summoners War is, it's the sleep debuff. It's such an ineffective debuff. I don't know. It might be good in some situations. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.